Hey there, restaurant pros. It's David Scott Peters, and welcome to the Restaurant Prosperity Formula podcast. For over 2 decades, I've been guiding restaurant owners to success with the proven principles of something I call the Restaurant Prosperity Formula. I originally created the formula based on the daily practices of the most successful restaurateurs I've coached, and it's now the foundation of what I teach restaurant owners like you so you can achieve success. What do I mean by success? Success is a restaurant owner who dictates the terms of their life and their bank account instead of their restaurants dictating those things for them. Success is a restaurant owner who has the freedom from their restaurant and the financial freedom they never thought possible. How you define success is up to you, but I do know the way to achieving it is using the Restaurant Prosperity Formula. This season, I'm diving even deeper into the core elements of the formula: leadership, systems, training, accountability, and taking action. Along with my insights, you'll hear from special guests, industry experts, and inspiring success stories from fellow restaurant owners who've turned their businesses around and found their definition of success. In this episode, number 115, our guest is Vicki Moore. Vicki has been in the hospitality business for over 30 years. She worked as a bartender for 7 years in the bar she ended up buying 8 years ago. Game On is a sports bar and grill in a small town of Peotone, Illinois. When she purchased the bar, their gross sales were about $275,000 a year. Today, she does about $1.2 million a year in sales. She grew her business by changing the menu, enhancing the quality, and creating an inviting atmosphere. Vicki is a self-proclaimed spreadsheet geek and loves numbers. Her challenge was the business required her for everything to work. She missed out on so many life events due to work, and the stress literally drove her to the hospital. In this episode, she shares her very personal story and struggles to her path of freedom from her restaurant, delegating to a manager, and making more money. Let's get started. But first, a word from our sponsor. We all know managing costs is one of the most important parts of running a profitable restaurant, especially now. But between fluctuating vendor prices, waste, labor, and the never-ending list of tasks that demand your attention on a daily basis, it can be challenging for even the most experienced of us to manage costs well. That's where Margin Edge comes in. Margin Edge is a complete restaurant management software that automatically uses data from your POS and invoices to show you food and labor costs in real time. Don't wait until it's too late. Margin Edge gives you tools to make decisions in the moment, like a daily P&L, price alerts on key ingredients, and real-time plate costs, all without ever having to touch a spreadsheet. Take control of your costs, work more efficiently, and be more profitable. Go to www.marginedge.com/DSP to learn more and schedule your demo today. Vicki, I want to thank you so much for taking time to be with me today and be a part of this podcast. I'm really excited about it.
Me too. I'm happy to be here. Thank you.
So let's talk a little bit background. I'm really excited because you came from the front line, literally as a line employee in that business, if I recall properly. Like you have
Right.
worked your way through, become the owner. Can you talk about where you are, your restaurant, and how you got started there?
So I was a bartender there for 7 years, and the owners at the time got busy in life, and it just started to go downhill a little bit. And I was like, I can't do this. Like it was getting pretty ugly there. So I stepped away for a little bit. And I'm like, I really miss it. I want to go back. So I approached them and I said, would you ever consider selling it to me? And they were like, yeah. And 3 months later, I was sitting on a case of potatoes in the kitchen, crying a half hour before we opened, going, what did I just do? But no regrets. No regrets. I went in with the strength of a bartender, knowledge of the kitchen, but not, that's not where my strong point was. My strong point was the bar part of it. But I knew the basics and tweaked some menus, changed some quality, portion sizes, just little things. And we blew up, and we blew up fast, like 5 times as busy as we were when I worked there. And it progressed, I guess, over 7 years, but they were a fast 7 years. And all of a sudden I was just standing in this storm of, holy crap, we have outgrown these old procedures that we started with and just kind of modified a little bit as we went along. But they weren't working anymore because we were just too big to, use pens and paper and whatnot. So I knew everything that needed to be done, but I was just standing in this tornado of, um, okay, I know I got to reevaluate my menu. I know I have to work on food costing. I know I have to work on labor. Like I knew what needed to be done, but I did not know where to start. And I think I watched every single one of your podcasts along with 5 million other ones and just said, I need a plan. And I think, and that's really what led me to you. We're a profitable business, but it shouldn't be that hard. Like I was working nonstop. I was cooking on the grill. I was frying on the fryer. I was washing dishes. I was running food. I was bartending. I was paying the bill. I was doing everything, and not all the time, but it was just there was always something lacking somewhere where I was constantly working.
Well, I think to paint the picture of kind of so people understand, you, like many of us, came from the line, but you leapfrogged. You went from, hey, let me go from bartending right into owning versus making your way to supervisor, manager, general manager, da da da, and making that progression. You literally just said, man, I love this place. You love your community. And so I want to kind of go backwards for a second and we'll get back to kind of the chaos that was created because you exploded the business, right? You created more business, and that's kind of where it came from. Now, the restaurant bar is Game On. Describe it a little bit. Like you're in a small town, so people understand that this is not you're not sitting in Chicago. You're outside.
Right, right. We're about 60 miles south of Chicago, and it's a sports bar in a small town. I think we're 4,000 people here, maybe. Everybody knows everybody. And it's a very basic menu. When I bought the place, it was a bar with a small kitchen. And we have made the flip now. We are a kitchen with a bar, but very tight knit community. Not a whole lot to do. So was able to just offer things to do on weekends, different things, puzzle nights, crazy. I'm always coming up with something crazy, but very tight knit, small community, very small.
Okay, so now you came in when you were bartending. You were primarily a bar that had food. You left them, missed it, came back. What was kind of the reason for coming back? Was it a loss of like, I missed the customers, I miss it? Or is it that you were worried about it was going to be gone for your community and there really aren't a lot of options for you guys?
I think when I worked there, I always had a vision to make it something a little bit more homier. Like I said, it was a bar, and I always envisioned like having, you can go to Buffalo, mom and dad can go to Buffalo Wild Wings with their kids, and they can have a couple beers and have dinner, and no one thinks twice about it. And that was, I felt like we had definitely had a need for that in our community. It was strictly 21 and older when I purchased it. Kids did not come in. And when I made that flip to make it a little bit more family friendly, and got so involved with the communities, the schools, the public works, like everything, that's really what, you know, now we're in this perfect storm because everyone's like, you do so much for the community. I'm like, I know, but the community always picks me first. Whenever there's an event, like I might not be the best place because it's, not the biggest or and it doesn't seat you comfortably, but I'm always the first pick because they know that I give back to the community. So it's a perfect storm of I'm able to support, local things, and the community always comes back and supports me. So
Okay, so let's go back to the operational side. So you go from bartender to owner, sitting on these potatoes, crying, going, "What the shit did I just do?" But you followed your passion, you followed your dream, you made things happen, you explode your sales, you grow 5 times, and now all of a sudden you are the best, if I remember correctly from our first discovery call, the best bartender, barback, food runner, cook, manager, anything that could happen in that restaurant at the same time. Talk about what life was like before we met.
well, before we met, about 2 weeks before we met, actually, I was in the hospital because I thought I was having a stroke, and it turns out it was stress. So that's pretty much, you can't get more specific. If that doesn't give you a clear picture of what life was like. I mean, I don't even take an aspirin when I get a headache. I'm not a, um, I just don't. I'm a pusher. I push through anything. And I woke up and I'm like, yep, I'm pretty sure I'm having a stroke. And it ended up to be stress related. And that's when I was like, I love this. We have that in disease, I call it the hospitality disease. We're people pleasers. And, I love it. But that was a pretty big scare for me. And definitely glad that I made the leap to invest in the program. And um, life is a lot different these days. That's all I can say.
Well, we'll get to that. I want to kind of focus on, so you're working a lot. Everything's resting on your shoulders. You are literally your best employee. You're your best manager. You're it. Without you, the restaurant, the bar does not exist, does not work. So you get the stress, takes you to the hospital. You have an epiphany. Something's got to change. What were some of maybe top one, two, three things that were going on beforehand? Like, was it that you had no time? Like, how many hours did you work a week? Was it your food cost was out of control and you just couldn't figure out why, and whether it was be pricing or help in the kitchen? What were some of your biggest challenges at the time that really started to weigh on you and kind of sent you over that edge?
Yes, to all of that. I have been blessed with one of the most amazing staffs. My girls, all my employees are really, really good. I have some that still work for me now that worked for the bar it was before from day one. So they've technically been there longer than me. They're amazing, but what was lacking was direction, guidance, management, support. Like we were having problems and they were telling me, and I was like, I can't juggle one more ball. Like that's just going to have to wait. And while those seemed little things, they felt neglected and unheard. And that affects other things as far as the kitchen. There was absolutely no guidance back there. That was almost a free for all. Like I said, we were making money, but I knew that we should not all have to work this hard for, it was green, but it was a light green, a very light green. We were just, getting by. And I'm like, that doesn't make sense. We're, over $1 million a year in sales. I just feel like it shouldn't be this hard where I'm getting sick and um, everything was my problem. And
Absolutely.
the girls were there, the staff was there, like saying, like, what can I do? What can I do? But I think we've all been in the position you either throw more employees at it to try and make it better, or um, you say, no, 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 I'll just do it because training you to do it is going to take 5 times longer than it is for me to just do it. So I might as well just do it myself. And so it wasn't even that I didn't have the support. I didn't even have the time to accept the support from some of the best players in the game,
Yeah. No,
if that makes sense.
it is so easy for us to think, oh, I take all this time to train them. Well, I might as well just do it myself. And the truth of the matter is, if you took the time to train them, then they know how to do it and you don't have to do it anymore. But that's not easy when you're in the battle. And so here you are, you know you need to make a change. Did you try something before finding me? Like what were some of the one, two, three things maybe you tried on your own and said, oh my gosh, this isn't working the way I want it to.
Well, I'm a little bit of a spreadsheet junkie. So when I wasn't at the bar or in the kitchen working, I had spreadsheets for everything, working on food cost and the kind of my own homemade recipe cards or whatnot, and just rescheduling and throwing more people at. I pretty much tried everything, but not in any type of structured way.
So, okay, so you
And
needed structure. You're listening to podcasts, you're listening to my stuff, you're watching YouTube videos, you're listening to other restaurant experts out there because there's lots of resources out there. What was it that brought you to me and what we do here?
well, so many of the different topics. So when watching your podcast, they're not necessarily in order because you just stumble upon one, then you fall down the rabbit hole, and the next thing you know, I'm 10 deep. So as far as like related to the program, they were kind of out of order. But every topic you touched on, I'm like, yes, I know I need to work on my food costs. Yes, I know I need to work on labor. And it was a matter of getting all those in order and where to start, really.
Okay.
So when we talked, I don't know even if you remember our very first video call when I met you, I was like, I can't believe you're talking back to me. It's so weird because I've watched you for so many hours just talking to me, but not answering me. And then the first time we talked, I was like, I can hardly believe you're real. I can't believe you're talking back to me. It was actually weird because that's how many podcasts and things that I've watched.
I do litter
And
the
I
internet.
yeah, I can get behind like a lot of the, everything of what you say, like the procedures and it, you put in the work, but then it just takes off and it works for you. Um,
So let's stay on that. What were some of the first changes you made? Because they weren't humongous changes. It wasn't like you
no,
had to completely like shift how you did things. There were just little tiny changes, and all of a sudden things were moving for you. What were some of those things?
the aha moment for me was Jolt. Jolt is my baby, and it's basically a glorified checklist for every person in the company, written by me, how I wanted it, exactly how I wanted it done, and it it was just it's so minimal, but it was really really life changing. It was life changing when I came in. We did the checklist, and so the girls use this checklist to come in and open, and then you come in and it's like, well, they did it but they didn't do it my way. Then you grab the Jolt checklist and you change it. Okay, well, let's specify what is my way. How would I do it if I walked in the door? And the ability to change it and make it, constant. It's a living checklist. It's not a piece of paper that, gets spilled on or lost or written, crumbled up or anything. It's always there. It's living, it's breathing. I can change it whenever I want. And it's open to input from all the employees because, I have had, some of the girls say, I know what you mean when you say this. Most of us know what you mean. But if a new person came, would they know like what we know? And I was like, I like that input. You're right. And so it was a collaboration of everyone in the company making the checklist.
Well,
And
I talk and I tell people that checklists are the foundation of all your systems. If you can't get somebody to follow a checklist, what makes you think they're going to wake up on a Sunday, take inventory, accurately give a shit, and they're not. And it's really difficult for people to understand. So, as a member, I always buy our members a year subscription to Jolt. And anybody wants to look it up, jolt.com. We're specifically talking about their checklist point of their software. They do a lot of other things, food safety and what have you, but just this because it gives you the ability to inspect what you expect. Like when you, my always say that my pet peeve was dumpster lid being left open, and you'd walk in and see the manager pencil whip the checklist, tick, 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 straight down, and you go, dumpster lid closed. No, it is wide open. And you want to lose your shit because customers see it, and there's bugs, and there's raccoons, and the landlord's pissed, and all these wonderful things. Yet it's so simple. Close the damn lid, and you put it on a checklist, and they just pencil whip it, meaning they just go down and check everything off without doing anything. Well, now all of a sudden you've got the ability to go, was the dumpster lid closed? Yes. Great. Now take a picture. And it can't come from your camera roll, has to be live. And all of a sudden, this accountability and how it adds to the philosophy of, and I want you to talk about this kind of change of close to open, that we close every shift 100% ready for the next shift. So we get rid of that AM PM bullshit. Who closed last night? They didn't do this. They didn't do that. And the realization is they're right. They should be pissed because they have to close a restaurant before they open it, or the day shift to the night shift. What was the culture change when all of a sudden everybody knew what the hell they were supposed to do and they were actually doing it because you had accountability?
it was definitely noticeable. Because just a little, it's like a sliver that festers, like, oh, I hate opening after her because she never does this and never does this. And well, so now with the checklist, I'm like, how's opening? Is everything done? Oh yeah, it's great. Or, I wish you would do this. Or I said, okay, well, if there's something she's not doing, there's the ability to put it in the manager log and whatnot. But what I found is that I just flip it to, okay, well, if you're saying you're doing it, you're not doing it, flip it to take a picture, like you said.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be forever, but until you get, that, oh, they're watching, like they are watching. And so I haven't had any complaints open to close at all. So
which is
it has
fantastic.
been,
Now,
it
there's
just,
another
yeah,
piece of this. You added somebody to help double check it. You added your first manager ever. And
I
what
did.
was that like? Because it's not easy, is it? It's not easy to give up some of the tasks to be done thinking you're giving up control, which you're not. But it's not easy. Talk about that
It's
struggle.
not easy. You're right. At that giving up the control part of it, um, it almost felt like, well, what's going to happen if she quits? I don't want to rely 100% on this person who's now doing all these things, and she's, modifying him, changing him, and making him better as part of the program. And that was a question that I actually asked in one of our group calls. I'm like, I'm a little nervous because what if she quits? It's going to be awful. But then, you introduced me to no, it's not just her. She's going to have some managers in training where she's not the only one who knows it. Other people are going to know it too. So hiring a manager was hard for me because, you immediately think you can't afford it.
Yep.
You say, like, well, our profit is so slim as it is, I'm going to go into the negative. If I hire a manager, I just rather do it myself. But then when you realize how much money that manager can save you by implementing some of these procedures and just being there to catch things immediately, not weeks later, when you find out there's a problem. You can definitely see where the money can be saved, and having a manager that has the time to listen and, I hear what you're saying, I'm going to take care of this problem. And the employees were more, at first they were like, oh, who's this, a stranger, a manager, like, I don't know about this. They were a little, at first, but then once they saw, like, oh wow, when we ask for something, stuff's getting done, like she's doing it. And um it definitely increased morale overall. Now I'm
So,
actually looking to hire my second manager, so
oh, hell yeah. I mean, we're going to get
yeah.
to your schedule here in a second because that has completely changed. With that said, you've got this manager now, you've got your checklist, you've got the employees, you've changed your company culture. People have bought in, they want to help. They don't want to fight it, they actually want to help. You've added more work, raised the bar, and people are rising to the occasion. What are some of the changes from food costs, labor costs? Like, did you see by adding that manager, did it really play out to the budget scenario that you and I put together that you make more money? Did your prime costs come down, food costs, labor costs go down? What were some of those changes look like?
Absolutely, our labor costs came down immensely. She dropped our labor cost quite a big jump, and mostly because I was guilty of, oh, they're busy on Fridays, we'll throw extra people in, instead of, having an expo person that can actually, I call them a choir director, right? Like, because they're
Yep.
like, okay, 4 burgers, 5 fries, making things run smoothly. So she definitely was able to drop labor a lot. And then just to be around and make that decision, like, okay, you go home, to let people go. Because when I'm busy doing other stuff, that's the furthest thing from my mind. So labor was huge. She was definitely able to get a grasp on labor and food cost as well, with help of, all the spreadsheets and um, well, I'll save you from all the acronyms, but all the wonderful spreadsheets.
Yeah, we've got our own lingo, don't we? We got our
Uh-huh.
MPM, we've got our restaurant payroll guardian, checkbook
DSR.
guardian. Yeah.
I remember my first call. I'm like, what is this, another language? What are these acronyms?
Yeah. We like our acronyms, that's for sure. All right. So now you've got managers, you've got more control in your kitchen, you've got more money coming to the bottom line. What's life like for you? How often do you go in the restaurant? Are you required to run the place?
I'm not. I go in pretty much when I want to. We do have bingo on Monday nights, and one of my favorite things to do is to call bingo. So I definitely go in on Monday nights. And other than that, only if I'm only have to go in if there's a really big problem. It's more of when I want to go in. Just last week, I don't know, it was like 2 o'clock on Tuesday. I don't know. I was sitting on the couch, no phone, no nothing. I was sitting on my living room couch and I was just looking around. And a friend came a friend of mine came over and he walked in the door and he goes, "What are you doing?" And I said, "Nothing, nothing. I'm not doing anything. It's 2 o'clock on Tuesday and I'm just can't remember the last time I just sat and did nothing." Um, I have a granddaughter, so I play with her. I pop over to my daughter's house in the middle of the afternoon. Um, and as far as the business, I only do what I want to do. So marketing, I love marketing. That is my favorite thing to do, coming up with new events and planning them and all that. So I do a lot of the marketing now. And like I said, I work on what I choose to. And don't get me wrong, like I'm still very involved. Like I have my ear to the ground on what's going on. I have weekly manager meetings with our manager, and then she in turn has meetings with, the other shift leads. And
Yeah.
um, but it is definitely, I am a completely different person today.
I mean, it's really, I've been fighting to get you on to do this podcast for months now. I know it's most people's least favorite thing to do is get on camera or audio, whatever it may be, depending on if somebody's watching it on YouTube or listening to it on their favorite podcasting service. But the fact of the matter is, you have been one of the most incredible changes because you literally, like nobody there, I don't know many people I met that was literally doing everything themselves. Like you were serving drinks and doing it all. And now you are in a position where your restaurant, you can tell me if I'm wrong, your restaurant runs better, your restaurant makes more money, the restaurant
Yes.
does not text message you endlessly and call you endlessly anymore. They literally leave you alone and they respect your time and you're able to again have a life, what I determine or call restaurant prosperity, which is freedom of your restaurant and the financial freedom you deserve. You're actually living it, and you created this for yourself because I didn't do the work in about a 6-8 month period of time. Like you put your the work in. You said, I'm going to join this, I'm going to make the changes, and by God you did, and it is miraculous. Am I misspeaking in any of that?
Not at all. Not at all. That is, it is, it was a lot of work. And don't get me wrong, it's not done. My work with you is not done. I am still modifying, changing, tweaking, whether it be the budget or the, Jolt checklist, everything. I still have plenty of work to do on the procedures you taught me to make them my own. But to get the foundations at least started, I've already seen a huge improvement in just everyone's attitude. Because when I'm happy, everyone's happy. When I'm sad, I make other people sad. So it really has made a difference for sure.
Were there
And
any
I'm still,
well, there's 3 years worth of work. Like there,
oh,
as we talk about in
absolutely.
the group coaching calls, there's no day that we're gonna high five each other and go, "Damn, we're done." Like there's always something else to do. It's the restaurant business. But like you said, when you get those fundamental or foundational systems in place, it changes your world where you start to become an owner. You work on budgets, marketing, lead the team, develop your managers, hold them accountable, move the company forward, work strategically on the business. That's where you are. And again, choosing what you're good at and love to do and shoving those tasks off and delegating and making sure somebody does those things you don't want to do. And all of a sudden, it's crazy. You start to love the business again. You start to love to go in, but it's only on your own time. And it's possible for everyone and anyone. By God, if you can do it in the situation where you were in, you couldn't have been more a prisoner to your business than most anybody I've ever met. And now you have the most freedom amongst the majority of the members. Like I think you'll agree with me that you're kind of a star pupil. Like your results aren't normal. Like they're really freaking awesome. People get results and they do well and they make change. But in the speed in which you did it, like you just said, I'm going to get this done. That accurate?
Yeah, it is pretty accurate. Absolutely. And, just looking back at some of the goals that we set in the beginning, 1, 3, 5 year goals, I'm like, yeah, I'm tickling those 5 year goals and we haven't even had a year yet. So it is, it's definitely you say it all the time. I suck at cause work. You do. And there were times where I dreaded getting, like, I was like hovering over the mouse. Like, I don't want to get on this call. I have so much work to do, and, or just opening a new chapter and reading and having homework. And I was like, oh my God, this is going to take me forever. How am I going to have time to do it?
Yeah.
You have that. But when you push through it and you start to see those results, it gets easier. Then you're not fearful, you're motivated. Like,
Yeah.
oh, I can't wait to see what's next week. I'm gonna, free up even more time when I learn something new next week. So I am an overachiever by nature. So
Yeah. Oh no,
there
I want to make sure people hear. It's the when the commercials come out and they go, results may vary. These aren't normal. Like, I believe your results are normal, but not in the speed in which you were able to do it. And there's a piece to speed. For me, sometimes people can implement too quickly and it doesn't become a part of culture. That is not the case with you. Like, you are literally not in the restaurant unless you want to be there because it took. You changed your company culture. The systems I teach are easy. I don't think, especially for you, you, me, Steve Eller on my team, we call ourselves spreadsheet geeks for all intents and purposes. Like, we'll drill numbers down to the nth degree, but you and Steve make me look like I don't know shit. But with that said, you have to change the company culture. It has to become a part of what you do, your system, your process, your way. And when we speed through things, often it's just implemented and it's gone tomorrow. But it's not with you. You truly have created you've become an employer of choice. People want to stay there. People want to please you and the guests. People want to show up every day. They enjoy the fact that there's structure and things are moving smoother. And that is a testament to you as a leader. And that's the very first piece of the restaurant prosperity formula, becoming the leader your restaurant needs. You couldn't have been any further from the leader your restaurant needs when we started, and where you are today is, by God, you go, my role is to lead, not to do. Right?
yes, absolutely. I was a terrible leader for sure.
But you're
And
capable and you did it.
oh, absolutely. I knew it was there. I just didn't have the time. I mean, you pick your battles when you're in, the middle of chaos. You're like, I can't deal with that right now. Like, it's got, which ball do you grab first? That's falling. So, um, to be able to just share that weight and have time to say, yeah, come on, let's sit down. Let's talk about it, and we're creating bonds. And just I have an amazing staff behind me, um, that was, they went at this with open arms. There was no resistance. There was like, if you think that this is a good idea, we're physically watching you kill yourself and we want to help you. We want to help you. So what can we do? And I said, okay, I'm investing in this program and it's going to be sink or swim. So if this doesn't work, I could be done. Like, I'm done because
Yeah.
when it starts affecting my health, I can't. I'll go back to 9 to 5. I mean, how many times have we thought, I would love to just clock out at 5 o'clock and be done, and that everything else be somebody else's problem. Um, and that was where I was at. I was like, if this program, if I don't see results and things don't get better, I'm done. I'm done. And they
I
didn't
do
want me
think I remember
on the
that
same
from our
campus.
call.
Yeah.
Were there any unexpected shifts or anything that popped up that you just didn't expect the program was going to bring you?
I probably just circling back to just, I never thought in a million years we'd be in the spot to have a manager. I mean, we're just, with business being sporadic in such a small town, I mean, we can be busy for 20 minutes and then, not busy for 2 hours. But to have the flexibility of a manager, to have someone there, because we were always in the position um, we're not busy long enough to call in an extra person for 25 minutes. And so to have a manager on staff to jump in, get them through that 25 minutes, and then use the downtime for admin time to work on some of these procedures and spreadsheets and whatnot, that other stuff, it was, that in itself was just, that was huge. So I think that there was just a lot. Just the fact that I could go 24 hours without being there. That's just, insane to me. I never thought that to be a reality. And I still go every day. Don't get me wrong. That place is my baby. I love it. I love every nook and cranny and stain, and I love it. So I still go every day, and I check it out. I was actually late for the call today because went today and I was checking it out, and our Pepsi leaked all over the place. So you can't keep me away. Wild horses couldn't keep me away, but it's a completely different
But you're not
viewpoint
scheduled.
when
You
you
don't have
want
to be there,
to go in. Right.
right?
It's I want to go in, I don't have to go in.
Right.
And which circles back to I do love it again because I didn't. I didn't want to go there at all. I'm like, no, I don't want to go there. I don't it's on fire and I'm not walking in the door because I'm going to have to work every time I go there. I can't even go there for anything. I would send my kids. I would pull up and be like, "You run in and go get my coat I left in the office because if I go in, I'm going to end up working for 5 more hours." And that's terrible because I should be there because they need me, but that was the mentality I was at. I was like, "No, I can't do it anymore. I don't want to be needed so much." And it's not like that at all anymore. Now, if I go in, it's because I'm wrapped up, BSing with a customer or an employee or something. It's more of a chit chat social kind of a thing, not the world's on fire kind of have to be there. So,
Let me ask one more question when it comes to the program.
yeah.
It is a group coaching program every Tuesday from 1 to 3 Pacific time. For you, that is an hour or 2 hours later. So it's when the beginning was in the middle of rush and so on. What is it like being on a group call with other restaurant owners and their implementers? Like, was it something that was intimidating? Is it, man, a waste of my time? Or by God, you're really glad that you're there on a weekly basis?
I really enjoy it. There are some really, really great people, and what a well full of information that call can be. Um, it's not structured in the way that every single second of every call applies to me because maybe someone's having an issue with catering and they're talking about catering. Well, I don't personally cater right now, but it is something that I've always wanted to do. So my mind, being the sponge it is, soaks in the information even though it doesn't apply to me. um, but I'm still able to jump in and offer suggestions just because I've worked at other places that have had catering or, maybe a
Right.
bad example, but the call itself, I mean, to have it's really cool. My favorite room to be in is when I'm the dumbest person in the room, is because I have nothing to do but learn from other people. And that was the excitement I felt when, in the beginning, I was like, oh yeah, I wonder what I'm going to learn today. Like I truly was the dumbest person in the room, especially when we were saying DSP and DSR and MIT, and I'm like,
What are the
what are you guys
acronyms?
talking about?
Yeah.
Like, and it's okay to be the dumbest person in the room because you're learning, and I don't know that as the group keeps changing and we keep adding, there's not really a smartest person in the room. I mean, David, even you're not the smartest person in the room. I've seen you learn things on the call from other people as well. I mean, there's a lot to learn from everyone
100%.
for
That
sure.
is the magic because somebody has fixed a problem. Somebody has found that software. Somebody knows the piece of equipment. And nobody knows the business better than you all because you run it every single day. I don't run a restaurant. I give you the foundational systems. I'll give you the framework to make sure we put leadership in place and management and all the things that go in there. But when you ask a very specific question, say about toast, I mean, how many times have we had a group toast, support call? How do we do this? And there's 5 different owners or managers who go, "Oh, this is exactly how you fix it," and all of a sudden the value is huge. Um, what would you tell somebody who is circling? They found the podcast, they started going down the rabbit hole like you did, found my YouTube channel, maybe read my book, saw my blog. They've been circling, wondering why should I get on a discovery call? What would you tell somebody who's thinking about working with me?
I would say absolutely do it. 100%. Um, I don't have any regrets. And like I said, I'm still not done with the program. So I know that we said overachiever and I did it really fast, but there are um, still a lot of work I have to do to make it even better. And it's possible. everything you think isn't possible, it is possible. It is possible to be able to step back and let go of some of that control, and but still know what's going on. You're not letting anything go. You're still involved, but at a different level. Um, I would say do it. I would say just bite the bullet, do it. There's so much to learn from you and your procedures and the other people in the group, um, that it's a no-brainer, honestly. Honestly, I have zero regrets on doing it.
Well, I appreciate
I
that.
am so different today than I was 8 months ago.
Oh, you are a 180. If there was ever a poster child for a 180, it is you.
I was losing my hair. I was gaining weight. Like it was bad. It was
Yeah.
bad. So
And that's not a good place to be in. And it feels hopeless. And that's the biggest thing is like when you came and you were saying this is it, or like either I'm closing this place and I'm done, I'm selling it, whatever, or I'm going to make this work. You literally put yourself in a position where you said, there is hope. I'm going to do this because I think and I know that there's a solution. And again, like we talked about, it's not like you didn't understand you needed to reduce your prime cost or change things in your kitchen or implement training systems or get to checklists. You couldn't find the time. You couldn't see that there was even a possibility to get it done. You knew you needed to do it, let alone the step-by-step process of if I just do this, what's the next thing? What's the next thing? And what's the next thing? And that you were a fish to water. And it has been a pleasure to see you grow and change. It's a pleasure to have you part of the group. And now being one of the smarter people in the room
I don't know
is,
about that, but
I think so.
I still learn.
Well, so don't I. I've been doing this for 21 years and I learned, like you said, I'm on calls and I go, Psh, I've never heard that before. That is fantastic. It's gaining those million points of data. So when it's time to make a decision, man, you know what to call on, let alone having a group to go back to and go, hey, have you guys seen this challenge? That you don't have to be alone. I have been nothing but thoroughly impressed. Again, I've been after you to get on to do this with me, and I appreciate you doing so. Is there anything that we didn't talk about that you'd like to share, or even a favorite book or quote, something you want to close with that we might not have touched on?
Well, I happen to have this book right here that you turned me on to. So you said book. So
Yeah.
um, definitely we talk about this a lot in our group calls. And I would say that I would definitely recommend this hand in hand with your program, is absolutely beneficial. And if someone's out there thinking, I can't afford it, you will be able to, because you're going to save enough money in the program to afford it. If you don't want to let go, if it's a control thing, it's not letting go, it's sharing the responsibility. You're not letting go, you're sharing. Those are all they were big resistant points for me, because I was like, well, I'm not giving someone else control, but it's not giving up. It's sharing the responsibility, so that you can focus on more of what you love. And yeah, I would say do it. Just do it. You can afford it. You can do it. You can get through it. But just know that you're going to have to put some work behind it, to get it done. You only reap what you sow. So, right?
So just so I want to go backwards for those listening, not watching on YouTube, the book she held up was called Secret Service by John DeJulius. The best, one of the best customer service books out there. Two major lessons is one is creating your list of non-negotiables, and the other is with WOW Customer Service, we make price irrelevant. It's a must read for everybody. I appreciate all the kind words that you shared. I do want people to understand that you put in the work. All I can do is provide the information, the structure, but you've got to do the work. And if you do the work, like you said, you can change your life. It is not an exaggeration that you changed your life, that you put in the work and you changed your life. And I hope everybody understands, if you're feeling stressed, if you're feeling overwhelmed, if you're feeling like where Vicki was, where you drove yourself to the damn hospital. And I know what that is, because, I can remember at one point in time when I was working at Famous Sam's, I drove myself straight to the hospital. It was a panic attack, thought I was having a heart attack. Had that years later, but that's a whole nother story. But with that said, it's amazing what stress can do. It's also amazing what it's like when you have a team you can count on and that stress is mostly gone. It doesn't mean, Vicki, you don't have a bad day. It doesn't mean you don't have a challenge from time to time. But man, when you can sit on a Tuesday and go, man, I should find something to do. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah. It was very cool. And I thank you for that. And, all the Mastery Plus members and the input. And it's been fun. And it's not over yet. We're going to keep going.
Hell yes. Vicki, thank you so much. Hopefully we'll do a follow-up because I want to see what you're like 6 months from now.
Me too. I can't wait.
Ready to take the next step towards achieving restaurant prosperity, freedom from the daily grind, and the financial success you deserve? Book a discovery call with Ryan James to learn about our group coaching program. Ryan will guide you through how our program can transform your restaurant and help you achieve the prosperity and freedom you've been striving for. Click the link in the description below or visit dsp.coach/talk-to-Ryan to schedule your call now.